Welcome back to the NBA Nightcap. I'm going to be your host this evening. It's February 23rd. Another great night in the NBA. The Knicks are losing, the Cavs are winning, the Lakers are not playing. Devin Booker got snubbed from an All-Star appearance. So much more we're going to get into. But of course, tonight we're doing something a little different. We're going to play a little game, Would You Rather. So we got six different kind of player comps. We're going to go through them. If you're watching on our YouTube, you'll see them on the screen. If you're listening, I'll obviously read them out for you, but check out our YouTube, NBA Nightcap. But first, this is the NBA Nightcap. We've got a little drinking going on, you know? I'm still on my box of wine. It'll probably be a long time before I finish this. By like a long time, I mean 2 nights. I see Lucas, you got a nice little colorful glass going on. What you got in there?
Some slutty wine as well. Yeah, the pink variety.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dave's got a
What do you got in
plastic
that
bag coming out. Oh
I'm
my
just ready for him to
god.
get a giant straw and just slurp right out of that bag.
No, if it was
I
a
can't make multiple trips, so I have to have everything loaded up in one go. So
for
plastic bag worked good.
for all the listeners out there, Dave tried to play hockey the other day and dislocated his knee and bashed his head open and got 7 stitches.
Staples on.
Sorry.
Like
Sorry.
like
I
they
live in
used to hang up plastic with.
but
They
my
give them the time of day. They just went bah, bah, bah.
My
Pretty much.
brother-
There was no nice sewing or anything. It was pop, pop, pop.
my little brother was there to save Dave's life, and we're very happy for that. Without him, we would just be the NBA night. We wouldn't have our cap. All right, I'm done with that kind of crap. Let's get into it. The first Would You Rather, first ever edition on the NBA Nightcap. We're going straight into it. We gotta have a Phoenix Suns player here so Lucas can just take over for 20 minutes.
There you go.
Michael Porter Jr. or Mikal Bridges? Would you rather have, Lucas? Who?
I think it's a really hard question. I actually posed this on Reddit on RMBA.
Oh,
I posted it. Yeah, that's where I got the idea from because I watched both games back to back and I was like, I think this is a pretty good comp. The resounding answer on Reddit was actually Mikal Bridges,
right.
which kind of surprised me. Actually, that was really. I thought it was going to be.
So we should go with Michael Porter Jr. because those guys are.
I mean, I can read you off what I said, but I said if I was going to take a winning, like if I was a winning team, I was in the playoffs, I needed one season, one series, one, I don't know,
One game, one
game, fourth quarter. I need Mikal Bridges because he can at least do all the things Michael Porter can't, right? Like you can trust him enough on defense. You can trust him probably a lot on defense. He's a slasher. He can his 3-point percentage really isn't that different than Michael Porter, but he's not really a guy that you need. Like you're not going to call a play for to get you a mid range bucket. Like if he pulls up from the mid range, it's going to be it's going to have to be like organic, right? Like it's not going to be a structured play for him. But if I was starting a team, I think I'd go with Porter because you can call him like infinite upside, honestly, because like his jumper looks smooth, he's humongous. I don't know. I just
It's so interesting because when I got the stats all lined up, it's just like 13.9 points. They're like very similar on like 51% for Bridges, 48% for Porter. I mean, the difference is Porter missed 10 games this season so far, and Bridges has played them.
Injury prone.
I 100% agree. I think in a one season vacuum, I'd rather have Bridges. I don't think it's like I'm kind of getting
outlandish.
No, it's the upside of Porter is insane, but I've watched him too much. It just feels like he's lost out there. It just feels too goofy. I don't know what it is.
I'm actually extremely surprised. I thought it was just gonna be I was gonna be hammering the door for defense. and I was going to go against you too. But yeah, I go with Bridges as well. Their scoring is very similar.
Yeah.
They play in complete different ways though, where like I could see Porter in the future being like a Carmelo Anthony type of scorer. I never see that for Bridges.
Nope.
He's always going to be a spot up three slashing kind of player, but his defensive capabilities is so much higher than Porter. Because I don't know if it's because Porter doesn't try or because he has all the athleticism in the world for it, but Bridges has that 12 feet wingspan and he
Yeah.
just
He
picks
really
everybody's pocket. And I rather have a person that I know is going to hit open shots, kick to the basket, stuff like that, and then play amazing defense rather than being like, oh well, hopefully there's upside. Hopefully in a couple years he's this amazing player.
I just think my biggest question for Michael Porter is like he was supposed to be the number one pick. He was like the unanimous like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. It just feels like there's something lacking of like on this Nuggets team where he knows he's never going to be 1 or 2. He's always going to be 3. Like he might slip into that second like scoring position, but Jamal Murray's always going to take over if Jokic can't. And I think he kind of just he almost needs like I don't know if you guys saw the thing about Westbrook the other day where he asked every player on the Wizards what their role is and they kind of went through it and like, hey, this is your role and it's helping them get on this win streak. I think the Nuggets almost need something like that because I watch Porter and when he's good, I'm like, this guy could be top 6 in the league, top 5, and like I don't see that with Bridges. Like Bridges, maybe the peak would be like a top 15, like on something crazy like trajectory, but like Porter with his height and his like shot selection and his defense, like it brings him back down to reality. Is those last
Mhm.
two?
Well,
But
it's
yeah,
like with Porter, you almost have to waste possessions throughout the season
give
to
him the ball.
to, to get him the ball and to get his like development going because like his biggest strength you can see is him being able to create his own shot, but like right now he's not really that great at it, right? You'd rather have Jokic run the offense than have some sort of ISO play for Michael Porter. So but to get Michael Porter to like reach his potential,
You need to give
you
him the
have
ball.
to give him the reps to like you have to waste like 3 possessions just to get one score out of Michael Porter. And for the long haul, that'll be a plus. But like in the game, you're like, well, we're trying to contend. Like
Yeah.
I don't want
Did
to
you see
waste
how
possessions.
Jokic got mad at him the other night for missing the 3? And then he got the ball back. Like he was so pissed that Porter missed the 3. He went back, he got the ball, he dribbled up, and he just drilled it. And he just looked at him and said, "That's how you hit a 3-pointer." Like
Um, but like he's on I feel like he's in a perfect situation almost where like you can't really ask for a better big man to be passing you the ball than Jokic. It's not like it's a traditional like it's not like it's Embiid where he feeds in the post and you swing the ball enough around the court to then dump it into him into the post and then he posts up and either scores or kicks it back out or something like that. Like Jokic is like the best playmaking center maybe ever. And I mean, maybe it's the Jamal Murray and him don't get along kind of thing. Or maybe if it was no Jamal Murray and it was just Porter and Jokic, maybe that would be like the perfect situation.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think Jokic doesn't like him. I don't know if it's so much Murray. Like Murray might not, but I think Jokic just can't stand
Yeah.
his attitude and is like, "Oh, it's me." But I could see him going like a Jerami Grant scenario where he just wants to go to a crappy team, get paid, and just put up
Oh,
24 a game.
absolutely. I feel like he's the kind of guy that would have what everybody hated D'Angelo Russell for that I felt like wasn't true. Like, like I feel like they labeled him as like a selfish player and
Yeah,
super ego and shipped him off to Brooklyn. I feel like that's actually what Michael Porter is. He definitely has a huge ego, especially in the bubble. He had all that
mm,
drama with COVID. I honestly like his biggest thing might just be basketball IQ at the end of it. Like he has all the talent in the world,
he's
but
he's always in the
there's
wrong
no way
spot.
he's not very smart. He's really
no.
not
It's
all
like
there.
he catches a ball and he like catches it and he doesn't realize he catches it and he just like fumbles it. And he's just like, oh, I don't know what to do right now. And it's like wherever else on the floor just seems to be like catch.
He's not complete.
But
Not complete at all.
I mean, maybe it's almost like a thing he has to get into, like what Bridges is doing. Bridges is in like the perfect role on the perfect team right now, and he's just doing it to the max, like all you can ask for. And that's why I think like I'd rather have Bridges right now. I might rather have Porter in the future. I think that we're all in agreement on that.
Oh, I think we're in agreement, but I think like if I actually had to make a pick, I think I would go. I would say Bridges. I think in the end, like who would I rather have even overall? But like I think it would be a hard debate long term. But like Bridges is only 24. They're averaging really similar stats, but it's like peak wise, right? Like so I see Michael Porter like if he can reach his peak, it's like what you said, like Melo esque, right?
Yeah, like a top
But then I
5,
think
top
like
10 player.
but like Mikal Bridges, I think peak is like Chris Middleton.
Top
Like
50, yeah, like top 15 to
like
top
top
20.
I think like yeah, like top 30 I think is like Mikhail's peak. But yeah, I don't know. I'll stick with the homer pick. I'll pick Bridges in the end.
I mean, I don't hate it. I was very pleasantly surprised when going through and looking up all the stats and getting all the things going with this that I was like, oh my god, these players are so similar. This is not going to be like cut and dry.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I've watched so many Nuggets games and I'm just so disappointed with Michael Porter. I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know if it's just he doesn't want to do it. It just feels like he's not getting to that next step. Like I see flashes and the flashes are nuts. Every time I see him put up like a string of 3-4 buckets in a row, I'm like, he could be one of the top 5 players in the league. But then it's like, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh, I don't know
Oh
about this
boy.
one. So Bridges for me, Bridges for Lucas, Dave.
Bridges.
Bridges. All right, all right.
Love
We'll
you.
move
I
on.
can't believe that.
I can actually very much. Number 2, going with I screwed this up on the YouTube. Derrick Rose or Jordan Clarkson. I flipped their pictures. Never forgive
You're like
me.
the Wizards.
Yeah, I was gonna say the
I
Wizards
just
did
I
that
just
last
looked
night.
at it and I was like, I really made sure, and I think I did the rest right. But okay, so we're looking at a couple 6-man of the year. I mean, I don't think Rose is in the talk. I'm pretty sure just like Clarkson's gonna win it this year. There's nobody else close. But going through and looking at their stats, Clarkson is better. But in like a closing game situation, I feel like I believe in Rose more. The shooting is like off the charts better for Clarkson. But I'm going to go with my homer pick, and I'm going with Clarkson.
Everything wants me to say Derrick Rose.
Right, that was my problem.
And I'm going to go with Derrick Rose.
Oh, okay.
I think that Jordan Clarkson is a better player, but I have zero trust in him. He seems to be the most streaky player there is right now. And I feel like this year it's just those bad nights. He's hitting three or four more shots than he normally wouldn't. So it's evening out like his bad nights to his amazing nights. But I don't trust him at all. I feel like Derrick Rose can play more in a team, and Jordan Clarkson definitely seems like he gets the blinders on and he just goes to get buckets. And when it's working, it's amazing. But when it's not working, it is horrible.
It's only worked 25 times this season. That's how many wins they have. They're 25
Yeah, I know.
6. They're a pretty good team.
They're definitely they're a great team. And the thing though, what Jordan Clarkson reminds me of is J.R. Smith on the Knicks.
Yeah.
During Knicks tape, when J.R. Smith won 6-man of the year and everything, J.R. Smith went from being like a decent player who would go on these super long streaks of scoring amazing and everything, and then he would drop off a cliff. And then he had that one year where there was no cliff. He just kept on going, and that's why he won 6-man of the year. And then a couple years later, he was traded to the Cavs and ripping off his shirt and throwing soup at coaches.
Oh, the good old days with J.R. Smith.
I feel that. I think I have to agree with Dave, where my first
Oh.
thought was I'm gonna go with D Rose, but then I disagree with Dave, and
'Cause
I
you're
go
going
with
with-
Clarkson
Oh,
because. But there, I think there's a reason I didn't think of until just now. D Rose isn't desired as much by teams these past 2 years. Maybe even 3, you could argue. Like, he was really good, I think, in those stretches in Minnesota.
Oh yeah,
And then
that
Mhm.
50-point
the
D
team that
Rose.
sought after him, yeah, I bet I don't know who they were playing, but I bet on the other team, and I watched D Rose just
Just
rip my
torch
face
you.
apart.
Bent you
But
over like
teams
how
aren't going
Churchill
after
Capital.
him. Like, he had that moment of being like the best 6-man possible in the league. He had that opportunity when he was on the Cavs, and it didn't work out. Like, it wasn't a good fit. But then after that, it doesn't feel like winning franchises actually want him there. Like,
Oh,
it
the
felt
Knicks
like
want him.
Winning, Dave. Winning. The
Well,
word
I
is
mean, like,
winning.
so that was a good move for the Knicks. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
he kind of wasted 2 years in Detroit when Detroit wanted to do like, let's run back Blake Griffin and D Rose injuries. But then even
I think it was
those
perfect
times
for him
there,
though.
I feel like there weren't many rumors of, like, I don't know, top 5 teams in each conference being like, I need D Rose. Like, we need D Rose as a 6-man right now to get some
I
buckets.
think there was Lakers rumors, but we
I
had
don't think
the.
that was ever going to work because I don't think LeBron actually liked playing with him.
I
Like,
think
D Rose is really ball dominant, and he doesn't spot up.
Yeah.
Which I think it's hard because Clarkson is in his peak. Like, this.
Yeah, this is
Clarkson
perfect
prime
Clarkson.
Clarkson, and I was trying to pull up like his stats. His stats are better, but then I was like, the other aspect of him is he really covers up when Mitchell is bad. So this is turning into a Mitchell sucks argument. Is
Oh
Mitchell
boy!
has
All right,
so
This is why I got
wait,
the second.
wait.
I'm just gonna turn off my mic and just let
has-
Lucas roar.
This is it. 30 seconds, then I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
He's had so many deficiencies in years where
that before.
games where I'll text you guys at halftime and Mitchell will be like 2 for 11, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, sick, awesome, glad we did this. But then you look at the box scores. Clarkson has had 20 points or more 9 times, and then he had to drop 40 on Philly.
That game was so dumb.
Like, I just think the skill gap really from like Mitchell and Clarkson isn't too much, but they're almost interchangeable. Like, the Jazz trust Clarkson when Mitchell's cold to just basically supplement what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Mitchell's not
He's
doing
a
well,
heat
we're gonna
check
throw
guy, yeah.
Clarkson in because he's a heat check guy, and they basically have the same offensive drive. They're just, give me the ball. Like, I can throw you a random pass to get an assist.
Let me pop up there. I mean, he averages 2 assists, so it's like, I mean,
Mitchell averages like 4.
well, I'm saying in the argument between Clarkson and Rose, it's not an argument between
Oh.
Clarkson and Mitchell in this
Yeah, I don't know
conversation.
how you spun that to that.
But it was a positive. See, it was a positive.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
Clarkson.
Clarkson has finally hit his peak, and this is what we thought it was going to be even when he was on LA. It was never like, hey, I'm a starting point guard, shooting guard, combo guard. It was like, I'm a 6-man, and that's fine. He's averaging 18 points a game on the best team in the West right now, best team in the league, to be fair. I just trust Derrick Rose in the last couple minutes of the game. As like Dave has said before, the 6-man comes in, he's going to take that spot. Like, if something happened where my best player's out, Derrick Rose is there to like run the offense, and I feel safe with that. I'm still taking Clarkson. I still want Clarkson on my team because I want that bench scoring. The man's nuts this year.
D Rose.
I love D Rose. I went in saying Clarkson is a stupid pick. D Rose is the way to go, and I left saying D Rose is a stupid pick. Clarkson is the way to go. Who would have thought? I mean,
Who would have thunk it?
Alrighty. I like it. Going on to number 3. This one is definitely going to garner a little more conversation. We talked about, it was a warm up, We were just sipping a little bit, getting loose. And now we're going into Zach Levine versus Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon.
Bro, dog.
Brogdon?
Yep. So, we're looking at a guy. Levine averages 28, 5, 5, 1 steal on 51, 43, 86% shooting. Did he make an All-Star game?
He did.
Did, yeah? All right, good for
Mhm.
him. He fucking deserves it. Against a 22, 6, 5, 1 steal, 44, 40, 90. Difference is one team wins more than the other.
A lot more, too.
Not a lot. Only one game. Surprisingly. There's a lot of parity in the league this year, you know? A lot of close conferences and stuff. I went in this thinking kind of similar to what I went last pick with. Like, oh, I'm picking Derrick Rose. I went into this thinking, oh, I'm picking Zach Levine. And I like looked at him and I'm like, gotta think of like the team aspect. Who do I want? I kind of like Malcolm Brogdon's playmaking ability. And then I said, fuck that. I'm going with Zach. What are you guys thinking?
So if you would have told me this, even last year, I've been like, are you smoking crack? Like, I do not want Zach Levine at all. Like, I never want Zach Levine. He's like the most good stats, bad team player known to mankind.
Devin
Like, it's
Booker.
just empty stats, and I don't trust him at all. And he's never gonna play team ball, and he's only gonna get his own stats and blah blah blah. Then this year happened, and he's just going insane. He's getting his stats, and the Bulls, they're one game under 500, but they seem much better than that. I get sucked into way too many Bulls games, and they're
Yeah.
actual like a competent team where they're not getting blown out by 40, and it's like, oh, it's the Bulls, it's the easy game. They're a competent team from the start to the end, and I think that has to do with Zach Levine being the best player.
It's a lot of they had a really rough start again. Just like last year when we bet on them game 1. We're like, the Bulls. Sick. It just seems like every game, like, all right, let's go through his last 10 games. 38, 30, 37, 30, 26, 46, 35, 39, 26, 24. He might be all right, I'll propose this. Is he the best contract in the NBA? Production wise,
Now,
for what he's cost.
oh,
I know that's springing a question on you guys that you didn't get any research.
like ignoring like rookie deals.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah, you
there's
can't.
any
Because
rookies that like
I was gonna say
Luca on a rookie
Luka.
deal is of
yeah,
course
no,
amazing.
yeah, no, like an actual signed player.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of anyone I'd be like, yeah, they get paid really well. Everyone gets paid either 40 million or like 2 million now, so
Pretty much. He's the opposite of Wiggins.
yeah, it
Shit,
was.
Trey Wiggins.
A couple of years ago, we went and we were like, this is a terrible contract. Like, Levine's not worth this. Like, he could
But he's
be.
coming off that ACL.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too. Like they trade for him when that happened, and then they paid him. Like they paid him 20 million, and I don't even
It's
play many games.
It's only like 18 million a year now.
Mm-hmm. It was front loaded.
So I'm
Who do
gonna
you have,
pose
Lucas?
a question.
Okay.
Pose a question. If you wanted to win a championship, let's say neither of them had their current contracts. It was free agency. It was like 2K draft free agency time, and you had to pick between Brogdon or Levine, but Levine was gonna make 35 million, and Brogdon was gonna make 25 million.
Brogdon.
Which player would you pick?
Brogdon without even
Brogdon.
questioning.
Because I think in a vacuum, I think Brogdon gets paid less because he doesn't produce as many numbers, right? He can't put up 30 points a game in an entire season like Levine can.
No.
But I think so I'm gonna pick Brogdon for that reason. only because I think you can build a better team with Brogdon. Like, I think you can build an actual competitive team with having to. You're probably overpaying a little bit, even, right? Like, maybe
You
25 sounds about right, but it also feels a little too much because he's not like a given all-star every single year, but he does do like 21, 6 and 4 or something like that, right? Like, he's going to get you 20, he's going to get you a couple assists, he's going to play decent D. I think you can build a better team with Brogdon than you can with Levine. Levine just
I
feels
would
like
think
a guy that just will get paid and get you 30 points. You know?
I would have thought the same thing, but I think that Levine has shown that he could be. I don't think he'll ever be a number one. I I don't think like
Mm,
it's the difference
okay.
between a number one and number two is just so dramatic, and it's like it doesn't matter how many points you score. You have to watch it pretty much. Like it's not in the stats.
So I think that
But
was
I think Levine could be an amazing number two.
So you think
Where
Levine could be a number 2 on a championship team? Because like
hmm
my worry is
I
like
don't.
I think Levine's role always will have to be number 1 or number 2. I don't think he can be a number 3 because that means two other guys are taking more shots over him, right? Or they're playing a more significant role, and Levine will have to get paid as if he's 1 or 2, but then take a position as if he's shooting 20 plus times a game. Like, I just feel like it. I feel like the balancing act doesn't work unless Levine plays as if he's a number 1 or number 2 guy.
so
You
what I
know?
was thinking was like so if we take big threes of like past, so LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh, if you were to swap out D Wade for Zach Levine, would they still win?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think so too.
but I mean that's all.
That's hard.
But that's what I'm saying though about being a number two though is
I
Well,
don't
so
know.
think
okay, so for this year though, if you switch out Durant's clearly the number one on that team.
Hmm.
And then say you switch out Harden for Levine. Do you think they're still as good?
no,
I don't
I
think
think they
so.
are.
I think that
no,
team
no.
has because I okay. So I think that's a unique scenario. I think all
Yeah, that
three
one's.
of them are at like
Yeah, that's true.
basically the pinnacle of their power. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to switch
honestly
out
can be the
Kyrie.
best offensive players almost. Like, this is the best offense you could ever see with these guys.
Worst
That
defense,
is true
but
though,
best
because
offense.
no, not defense. That is true though, because Harden is more like the point guard. So okay, so what about
The
different?
Heat.
Like if you switch
What about the
Kyrie and
Heat right
Levine,
now? What if Levine was the third guy? So you'd have Bam,
Well,
Jimmy,
Levine.
and Zach Levine, right? Like, and Levine would be number 3, or would Adebayo be number?
I think
I
Levine
think
would
Bam
almost
would be
be.
three.
I think Levine would,
Bam would be.
scoring wise, Levine would be number one. No,
So yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
that's see. This
Yeah,
is
But
the.
probably
yeah, I'm
because then
trying to
you have
think of a scenario in which Levine is the best player that can, like, or the third guy. You know,
The
I
maybe
agree though
Lakers.
that I
Smart.
don't think he could ever be a number three. I don't think that his playing style and stuff like that could be number three. Because like if you look like to like all the big threes and stuff, one of them has to take a significant loss, and his game style, like how he plays, can't really take a significant loss.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, Brogdon's gonna help you develop a team more. Levine's gonna help you score more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's definitely not a defensive guy. Brogdon's bigger. He can play a little bit more of like wing defense.
So I guess I was thinking Brogdon would play a role. Like, I think Brogdon would fit on like the Spurs,
He would
like the
fit.
old Spurs, you
I'm
know.
gonna.
But I mean, like, so many players could fit
No,
on
no, no.
there. But like,
I'm gonna
don't
hit
you
you
think
with a.
like Tony Parker on the Spurs, like 2012, you throw Brogdon in there, it feels fine because he doesn't have to have a ton of stats, but he's gonna play like a great. He's gonna be a
You're
great
just
team
like
player. I don't think you
dissing
could
Tony
put like
Parker.
Levine.
Yeah, that was just a
Just
shot at Tony
slandering
No,
Tony
Parker.
Parker
Oh
with
my
Malcolm Brogdon.
god.
no,
Oh my
not at
goodness
all.
gracious.
Not at all.
The man averaged
I,
65% in the paint.
I wasn't bashing him. I was saying he could play a similar role. Like, he doesn't have to be the
Yeah.
number 1, 2, or 3
Mm.
guy.
Can
You
I?
can
He's
plug and play him
special.
anywhere
Really,
is
yeah,
like
he's
his
really
best quality.
specific.
Do you think he would be good on this team? It's called the Milwaukee Bucks. Would he have been a good player there?
He's
Yeah,
been
and
one
it
game in
shows.
Milwaukee.
But rebuttal though, what about Zach Levine on that team though instead?
Instead of
I think
Chris-
I think Levine and Giannis would be insane together because Levine can get his own shot more than Brogdon can.
would be
So are you
Middleton.
swapping Drew or Middleton?
So we go back in time when Brogdon was on that team and we switch them out because it's
Oh, that's
it's
horrible. No,
Wait, so you're swapping?
you'd have to get rid of
so you're
Middleton.
watching- So who's your point guard here in this scenario? Would it be? Is Bledsoe still on the team? So it's like Bledsoe, Levine, Middleton,
We're like crafting it.
Giannis. We're
okay.
theory crafting basketball at this point. This is
All right, let's just go with now. Let's just say Middleton. Oh no, because then it'd be Middleton
like
versus Levine
Middleton.
arguments.
Yeah, and I like Middleton.
I want Middleton more than I want Levine.
I think I do too.
I think I do
I don't
too.
think that's a thing.
God damn it!
That's a
You know what?
I
very.
don't know how you get this guy on like.
The problem is
I don't
Middleton
know.
makes like $39 million a year or some shit
Yeah,
like
that's very
that.
true. I was thinking of like the fact that like Levine could go and with a player like Giannis who lives in the paint and stuff, Levine can go and create his own shot from anywhere and he doesn't have to rely on it and that opens up the court more. Was my theory. But it's kind of impossible to point at Levine compare Levine and Brogdon on the Bucks, I guess.
Yeah.
Could you? I don't know if he would ever accept the role. This would be a huge downgrade. But I'm trying to think of like a trio combination. What if like the Clippers, like could Paul George become like the third dude? Like could he accept more of a I'm gonna be like more of like a facilitator, defender, just like a jacked up Mikal Bridges and Levine take all the shots. But then like I don't even know if I want to do that because Paul George's shooting splits this year are nuts. But I don't know. I think that would be like a combo. Like he would have to be like I don't know. I just thought like Kawhi would be a nice little wingman because Kawhi is the obvious number one.
Mhm.
Levine would be the number two. Paul George would have to play the facilitator like James Harden role.
But you know what's funny though is when you saying that situation, the first player that comes to my mind who I'd rather have on the Clippers would be Brogdon then, because he would just make that team just flow so much better.
he fits all the roles. I don't know how like I really think maybe the Heat like if the Heat wanted to cash in on some of their guys and get Levine, I think that would be a solid move. But even I think Heat fans might call him third fiddle. I don't know if the rest of the world would though. I think he would outshine somebody with his scoring
I agree.
eventually.
Hard. I think what we're overestimating is the fact that you can have a big three that shoots 20 times each in this league right now because the pace is so fast.
I think it's hard though, but it's like it's only like unique scenarios, right? Like it's the Nets, it's maybe Celtics some nights if you give Kemba that many shots.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I mean,
I don't know how many teams are getting three.
Kawhi could easily take like 3 less shots a game and
could.
still be just as efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Here, just take all the shots Lou Williams would take and just give them to Zach Levine.
Oh my goodness gracious!
And we're set. That's it. That's all you have to do. There it is. I found the 19 shots a game. So I'm still going Levine. I think he has more upside, and I just think he would be a spark plug. Especially, I'm thinking of the Lakers. I'd rather have Levine right now. I mean,
as a Lakers fan, I want Zach Levine to come off the bench. That's cool.
No, I would make Caldwell Pope go to the bench. It's fine. He's only shooting like 50% from three.
Starting off, I was so convinced, but my mind got twisted into a pretzel. So I'm gonna keep saying Levine, but
my heart is torn.
My heart is torn.
So Levine for me, Dave Levine.
I'm going Brogdon.
Oh, Brogdon. But fourth situation. This one we argue. John Collins versus Jerami Grant.
It's a weird one.
It's very weird and I went into it being like, this doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it's John Collins.
I do that too.
Duh. What are you
boy,
talking
I
about?
was the complete opposite.
This guy
Oh,
is a
really?
maniac. And then I looked, and it's like, okay, John Collins, 18, 8, 2, 1 block, 53, 38, 85. Then you go to Jerami Grant, you're like, look at his stats, though. 24, 5, 3, almost a steal, a block a game. And then you go to shooting percentages, you're like 33, 38,
That's not
80,
bad at all.
89.
Yeah.
Neither team wins. So, I mean,
Nope. Makes it tricky.
it
Mhm.
makes. And the Hawks are trying to get rid of John Collins. Jerami Grant, who I've been adamant with, every time Lucas watches the Nuggets game, he goes, "Could you imagine if they had Jerami Grant right now?" And I'm like, "No, he's
Every
he's
time.
like he sucks. No, I go we. I'm like, they wouldn't want him right now. Like, could you imagine paying this guy $20 million a year? No,
No.
that sucks. I'm gonna pass this off because I don't know still. Dave,
So I went into it, Jeremy Grant, and I am staying in it with Jeremy Grant. I think that the only thing that concerns me with Jeremy Grant is how many teams he has been on in like such a short window, where it's kind of like do teams like do they see that they can kind of like that he's expandable and stuff, and that they can get what he produces from somewhere else and stuff like that. But then I remembered NBA GMs are big dum dums.
I mean,
And
look at Tobias Harris.
yeah, he jumped from what 4 teams in 4 years.
Yeah.
I think he
You're
went
right.
back to
And
the Bucks twice or something.
yeah, so I think Jeremy Grant is just one of those players that will just get buckets and just I think they're very similar where I just think that both of them will never be real good winners kind of thing.
Ooh,
I don't know. I
I
mean, Jeremy Grant's a
disagree.
winner, clearly.
I mean, he was on
By
Denver though, and then he
default.
went to Detroit though and stuff like that. I
Like,
what I would like to
hey,
see
They just went to
is
the Western Conference Finals.
I would like to see if well when I say winner, I don't mean that he can't be part of a winning team. I mean that he can't be the head of a winning team.
oh, I mean, yeah.
And but what I'm excited for is I hope that they trade John Collins to a team like that's in a similar situation as Detroit, where it's just like, all right, John Collins, go crazy, do whatever you want, get buckets, stuff like that. Because like the whole big thing with John Collins is that he doesn't think that Trae Young should be, like initiating the offense every single time. That more stuff should run through other players. So I wonder if his stats would be similar to Jeremy Grant if he had a team where it was just like, here you go, go.
So, my first thought was John Collins going into this because I was trying to think of young guys, similar positions, kind of similar roles.
Yeah.
But before this season, I always kind of thought John Collins' like narrative throughout the league was really similar to like T.J. Warren. Like
Mhm.
nobody talks about T.J. Warren ever, really.
Oh, he
Nobody
got traded.
talks about John Wall. Not John
Nobody
Collins.
talks about
Nobody
John
talks
Wall
about
anymore. The
nobody
man
talks
hasn't played in
about
2 years.
Nobody talks about John
Bring
Collins.
him back.
And he always put up good stats. He always put up really great stats, and it was only like the really
Nerdy.
deep NBA nerdy fans that were like, "This dude is really crazy efficient. What the hell is going on? Like, why is there no TV time on this dude who's just putting up numbers on like pretty crappy teams?" But it wasn't until this year that he's not really this like quiet, to himself guy. He clearly wants to get
Yeah.
paid. He wants the max. He clearly wants more touches. And I don't know if it's justified because I'm pretty sure like the day after that report came out that he wanted the max and he wanted to be like the number one guy on a team, I think he put up like 9 points. Like, it was really pathetic because I watched the game. I was really expecting him to go
I
off.
thought
I don't think he balled out.
I thought he dropped a bomb on them.
No, it was
No?
bad. Yeah, he really airmailed it the next day.
It was not good.
It was not good. So I think to defend Jerami Grant, I think Jerami Grant's a perfect team on a winning, like perfect player on a winning team. Like he was like that stringy role where he just did everything for the Nuggets, kind of, right? Like, he just threw his body at the best defender
Yeah.
every single night. He guarded AD to the best of his abilities. He guarded just every single guy that he had to match up with. I don't think you get that with John Collins. Like, I don't think his defense is there really at all. He's an undersized 4. He's 6'8" in NBA terms, which means he's really like 6'6".
6'9",
right?
thank you.
6'9".
And he plays though like he wants to be 7'1".
Right. He's always kind of in the paint where it really feels like he should be more of a stretch 4 slasher. Like, his role should be more like Jerami Grant's role. But I think Jerami Grant's body is actually more developed than John Collins. Like, I just don't think John Collins has the body to play like a traditional 4, and that's what he wants to be. It's really strange watching him play. Like, he doesn't have a defined role on
Yeah.
the Hawks. It almost feels like they should just get rid of him because you'd rather
think they
have
should.
like Gallinari start at the 4.
No, I think
I don't hate him.
they should get rid of him because Trae doesn't know how to run an offense.
Really?
Oh,
I
I can't wait for you guys to trade talk. I don't want to look ahead, but
I think watching Trae recently is Trae needs the ball. Trae dribbles. And if Trae doesn't get free throws, he's just screwed. And I love the idea of Trae, but we're seeing it not articulate. I was in on the Hawks this year, and I think John Collins is right. Trae goes up, he's like, oh, I'm going to dribble the ball, I'm going to dribble for 10 seconds, then we're going to do something. And it's like, I think Collins is being stunted by Trae Young.
Interesting.
I would take John Collins over Jerami Grant, and it's not because I have my deep love for the Nuggets. And I'm salty he left.
So do you think the Trae Young situation is more about Trae Young, like his ego? Or do you think it's like the coach says, we need points, do something?
So I think a lot of playing with Trae is almost the same thing as playing with Harden. I don't think it's fun. Like, I think it's like Trae's driving, and he's going to pull up into a guy, hit some free throws. I mean, he's like getting to the point where he's like Joel Embiid, Harden. It's like these guys taking 11 free throws a game, and it's not like driving and making like an and one. It's like, cool, I'm in the middle of the court, I'm pulling up right now, and you're walking into me. I hate it. I think the league needs to address it. I hate watching the Hawks sometimes. Like, when
it's not fun.
When they're really moving the ball and they're fluid, it's great. But I feel like it gets to the point where Trae is either deciding, like, I'm shooting right now, or I'm going to the free throw line. It's not like I'm driving in. Lucas is going to hate this, but Luka is looking for the pass. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are looking for the next step. LeBron-esque. I think Trae needs to develop that. I still have faith in Trae. But I think John Collins needs to move on. It's almost like the Michael Porter Jr. thing. I think Collins is going to be the better player long term, and I still think he's a really good player right now. I would just rather have him than Jerami Grant on my team.
There you go.
Variety.
Perfect segue to our next guy, though.
Dave, are you going with Grant or are you going with Collins?
I'm so torn.
I mean, you need to make a decision.
I thought you just go with the defense guy right off the bat.
The more I was thinking about it and stuff, I'm like, I was my argument for Collins, like against Collins, was actually for Collins, because I'm like, I want to see him traded away from Trae Young, and the Hawks where he has his own team. But I'm going with Jerami Grant because defense matters.
It doesn't matter, but it's fine. No, every defensive player who's played in the NBA is now saying that defense doesn't matter. All they're saying is big man defense matters. So
You and
that's
Lucas can take your
Well,
big man
I'm
defense matters.
preaching for years.
Raja Bell. Like how many defensive people need to just say this on podcasts and do it?
You just say the name Raja Bell,
Yeah,
and you want me to take that?
that's
He said it.
Does
defensive
it
guru.
matters?
He made his way in the NBA with defense.
I mean, it makes sense because like big men have the biggest impact on D.
I didn't think you were gonna say the impact part.
Yeah.
The biggest D on D. I was like, all right, all right.
Probably.
Round 5.
Let's get it on.
This one
Let's get it on.
This one is definitely gonna be Dave yelling a lot as he chugs his Labatt Blue. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, very impressed. I can spell this without googling it. Versus
very
Trae Young.
I don't think I could do that.
It's not an easy one.
I don't even attempt to say his name. I just say SGA.
So Trae Young, as I just slandered him in the last group, 27, 10, 4 rebounds, a steal, 44, 38, 89. SGA, 23, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, almost a steal, half a block, 50, 40, 80, 78. I wanted to go in this because Dave texted this in the group chat. And I want to just be like, Dave's so stupid. Just, God, he's dumb. Why would he even bring this one up? And then I looked at it more, and I don't hate it. It's actually a very good comp. Because I think SGA might be a better team player than Trae. Lucas, you're the Trae fan here. You're the Trae stan.
Okay. I want to throw some anecdotes at you guys. I was going to say knowledge bombs, but it's more of anecdotes.
Drop some bars.
So we're gonna preface this by saying that the last Hawks game I watched was the Hawks
2019
playing. Yeah, they played Dallas, and that was when Trae gave away that game by just being a bitch. Honestly, it was terrible. It was like a fun back and forth.
It was that foul, right? He always tried to get the foul.
He tried to draw a foul. It was really stupid, and then he got fined. It kind of sucked watching him that game, even though, like, I think stat-wise he was fine. Like, he put up normal Trae numbers, and I really didn't want to agree with you guys about 20 seconds ago, like, watching him. But, like...
10 free throws a game.
Like, if it makes any sense, I think he found success way too early into his NBA career. Like, he found what works, or like, the cheat code, the NBA cheat code, really too quickly. Like, he was able to figure out how to manipulate refs right off the bat. He got this really deep 3-point shot ability super fucking quick, right?
He studied the easiest points of the game.
Right, so he's able to just kind of manipulate the game in a way that really works for him, and like kudos to him. But I don't know how much it's progressing the team if all of your best abilities right now are just individual, and it's like it's just not adding up to great wins. And I'm not going to call him empty stats because he's clearly skillful and he knows what he's doing. But it's different than watching other guys develop offensively. Like, they're like offensive, like maybe Tatum. Like, Tatum is now an offensive.
He's the top 10 offensive player in the league. Yeah, easily.
You watch him, he's a stud, and he developed like through the reps. Like, I think he started at like 14 points a game. He went up to 18. Now he's 20 plus, and he's staying at 20 plus. It just feels like Tatum and the guys like that went through the reps of developing different skills and having different mentors at him, like with him at different points.
Yeah.
Prayer had and like this strange development of Trae Young so far.
So I think I really like the fact that you brought up Tatum. Tatum will score 30 on like 2 free throws.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't go to the line. He doesn't like to drive, but he scores a lot. Or it's the opposite with Trae. And I think just because he's a smaller size, it's almost like the Curry effect, but he's not Curry shooting. He'll never be the Curry level shooter. It's just not gonna happen. It's fine. He's the greatest shooter of all time. It's just when I watch Trae, sometimes I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching Harden. I don't like it. I feel like I'm watching Embiid. I don't enjoy free throws. I know it's part of the game. I wish we could figure out a way to get through it quicker. I don't enjoy it.
Okay, so just to quickly add to my point before I throw it to Dave is, I don't think it's like a terrible like intersection where he needs to trust his teammates more. Like his teammates need to get involved more. He gets like a stat like assists, like the stat category is like undeniable. He can fill up the stat sheet.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like his teammates trust him. He's almost playing like he's just playing kind of like at the rec center playing basketball, but he knows everybody around him on his team is trash. So he's just like, I mean, why would I give the ball to Reddish to take a shot when I think I can make the shot better? Like, it's that mentality every single possession. He's like, I don't want to give to him. Like, I want to shoot.
I don't know if you guys know
I
this.
him to make it.
I play pickup basketball once in a while. All right. 5-on-5, yeah. I played with this kid this summer, and he was fucking better than all of us. And he could drive through, he could make the layup. But then there would be so many times I'm wide open from deep, and he wouldn't pass the ball, or he would make a pass to the person who's played basketball once in their life. Not a lot of good basketball players right here. And it just seems like the decision making. I just think I agree 100% with what you're saying is like, I think Trae is a very good talent. I just think Collins is right. Trae, like, hey man, take some possessions off. He doesn't really he's not efficient off the ball enough. Where it's like,
we don't have enough sample size of him off ball, right? Like,
well,
he doesn't even try it.
He doesn't try, exactly. He doesn't ever like give up the ball. He has a very high usage rate, and the high usage rate is like, he's got great players like Herter around him. He's got Gallinari. He's got Rondo, who's barely played, but like even Clint Capella, like the team should be better than 13 and 18. Like in my mind, I know they've had some injuries, but like a stint where they lose to Cleveland, New York, Charlotte, or even recently it's like Dallas, San Antonio, Indiana, New York. You guys just have their number, Dave. Just talk. You're the hot killers. They win against bad teams. I mean they beat the Clippers. But I mean they win against bad teams.
Oh,
there it is.
There's a shot.
I mean I'm still gonna go Trae. Long-term Trae. I don't think I can get off that. I like SGA, but it's like this versus this.
So, Lucas, who do you pick before I go? Because
I can probably go get a glass.
I didn't talk too much about Shai.
You can go to Shai.
I guess, like, my memory of him on a winning team was in the bubble, right? That was him being the
third
fiddle,
second or third.
But yeah, but he had a lot of games where he just fell apart. Like, I remember watching, being like, he's just bricking wide open threes. There was one game, I think it was either game 6 or game 7, and he just ruined like 2 possessions in the last 5 minutes, and it just like that moment sticks in my head. I'm trying to think of like an actual like when he hits his peak, what kind of comp would SGA be? I don't really have it because I can't really think of many 6'7", 6'6" point guards that are like, they're versatile, but they're not the best facilitators. That's the thing with Shai, is I don't think he's the best facilitator. I think he's more of a guy that would thrive being off ball and slash as well. Like, I think you need 2 facilitators. I think you need somebody with Shai. Like, I think the CP3 and Shai combo was perfect for him.
Yeah.
I don't think he can facilitate a team on his own. But I think he also fills the mold of Brogdon very well. Like, that might be his comp. but like a better
Like
Bro
a
Young, you could say, is what
very
he
higher
is.
extreme, yeah.
But like that kind of a guy where he fits in on every team, but you can't rely on him to do everything. I think I'd go Trae as well because I think he can fix his deficiencies long term.
So I'm going to go with SGA. I'll talk about SGA first, and then I'll go about Trae Young. So I think that when we talked about Tatum and stuff, how Tatum has has every year has progressed. I think that's going to be SGA, where he doesn't have all the tools right now, and he's just going to keep improving and improving and improving.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree that he does need another facilitator with him, but that's like it's almost like not his fault because he's so good at all the other things that he doesn't like the facilitating kind of takes a back burner.
Hmm.
But I think that having somebody with him though, where he can feed off of, where they can take turns and he can be cut into the basket or the other player can be cut into the basket kind of thing, works in his favor. And also, I think that he hasn't even come close, I don't think, to fully reaching his potential.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think that Trae Young has filled his potential.
Oh, really?
I think that Trae Young, his best comp is Isaiah Thomas. Where
What?
I think that he will go and have a couple of years where it's super flashy and he does amazing stats and all this other stuff. And then that's it, though. I do not trust him at all. I don't think that he can run like an offense. I don't think that he can go and play any sort of defense at all. And I don't see him being a player that will be on a good team ever.
Okay, so let me pose this to you then. Question
Hmm.
about that. So then how many seasons, how much time does Trae Young have left until the rest of the NBA can figure him out? Because he's currently his first year averaged 19 and 8. His second year, I'm gonna round up, he averaged 30 and 9. And then this year he's averaging 27 and 10. How many years left do you think then does he have? Because Isaiah Thomas had one.
I think it's not. I don't think it's 100% like the same, but I think it's very similar where it's going to be kind of just like almost like a lightning in a bottle kind of thing. Because I think that if if anything changes with rules or stuff, Trae Young is screwed because he feeds off of that kind of stuff, and I don't see him going and ever being being like
The best
trying to like
player on a
well, I was thinking
championship.
more like a CP3 role where it's like you throw CP3 in, your team gets a hell of a lot better.
But it'll
Trae's not
only
very strong.
it'd be like a Steph role, like Curry
Yeah,
role.
I don't ever see Trae Young being Steph Curry.
Ah,
You were gone, Nick, but I said that I think that
oh yeah.
Trae Young is Isaiah Thomas.
Oh no, I caught that when I walked back. I
Oh,
figured
you
that.
did?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured that. No, I
I
mean
can't think of another comp for Trae other than like Curry because
it's the only comp because it's the only thing
it,
similar to it.
he's really unique. Which is the problem. Like I was trying to think of like other guards that kind of had like really hot starts to their career. Like my first thought was, and they're not good comps, but it was the only people that came into my mind that only had short peaks was like Steve Francis and
What about
Stephen
Tyreek Evans?
Marbury. I was thinking Tyreek Evans, but I was actually thinking him for SGA, being like
Oh,
Yeah,
he was. I mean, Tyreek Evans, what his first season was 21 5-5, and he
yeah.
was a 6'6" point guard. And I'm kind of thinking like Shea had to play the three when it was Schroeder, Shea, and CP3 in the bubble. I think that would be the worst scenario for Shea. But anyway, I don't know if there's a comp for Trey, and that may be like just a compliment to him. Like eventually,
yeah. It
I
feels
think you
like
may
he's a
be
unique
right,
player.
but I think in the end you might be right though, because the rest of his peers are going to develop bigger,
Okay,
faster, and stronger past him, and
Mhm.
he's not going to like if he just stays in his current form, similar, doesn't doesn't develop past that. I don't think he gets much stronger. He's like 175 pounds. you're gonna have dudes just absolutely destroy him if any of these rules change, right?
Hmm.
I want
I don't know.
I want to switch. I'm going SGA.
Let's go.
Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I just look at the stats. I know it's like, oh, you just look at the stats. Yeah.
More teams would say yes to SGA.
Yeah.
And more teams would say
Well,
yes to Trae Young.
I mean,
I
this
think that's
this
just the
goes
end
back
of
to the
it.
Paul George trade. Like, no wonder, no matter what the Thunder got for picks, they got SGA, and the Rockets got a year of Oladipo. I know I'm going back to I was right that the Rockets trade sucks, but
Looks terrible. Atrocious.
it's just, yeah. I think I'd rather have SGA. I'd rather watch SGA on my team than Trae.
Oh,
Like, I wouldn't want to
110%.
watch Trae every night.
No.
No, because then you're banking on Trae. Like that's what it feels. It's the same
If
thing with Levine. You're banking on
yeah,
that guy doing everything, and that's like I hate that idea.
that's
Like,
torture.
I don't want to just and I don't want to
As
just
someone
bank
who-
on one dude winning the team every single game. Like
Someone who watched Kobe for a long time, it's worth it
don't
though.
even dare compare Kobe to Trae Young.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
No, I had the complete opposite feeling with Kobe. I'm like, oh, I don't care. I got Kobe.
Yeah,
We're winning these games. Like that's just gonna happen.
it's more fun. You know what it is? The mid-range jumper is more fun than the three. We've
And I think it's
switched.
come back slightly. I think the best players in the league
Are
getting the mid-range game, and it's
Mhm.
just it's
Kawhi.
decimating people. Kawhi,
Like,
Paul George,
Kawhi-
Booker, Durant, Kyrie, they all have got it.
the mid-range game is what in the closing moments. Well, I watched the game the other night and they just took a three when they were down 2, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What are we doing? Drive to the
Well, 'cause
fucking
the
paint."
math said so.
I don't care about math, Dave. I helped you
Oh, yeah,
graduate geometry, okay?
Yes.
I know math. I did. I hate it. So SGA, Dave's SGA, Lucas's Trae Young. I switch
Yeah.
because I'm a paper
Bitch.
I'm a
bitch.
paper hand bitch like Portnoy. Yeah, I'll send it to him. I still have my 2 shares of fucking GameStop. Take it on. Last one. Before we get into probably Lucas talking about the Suns for 2 hours. Coby White versus Collin Sexton. Now, another one of Dave's. I think you texted us this because I apparently didn't see this entire conversation in our group chat. I thought I loved it. Collin Sexton averages 23, 4, and 3 on 48, 40, 80, while Coby White averages 16, 5, and 5 on 41, 36, 87. Go for Dave.
I think that I'd rather have Collin Sexton, but I think Coby White has more potential, and I'd rather go with Collin Sexton than Coby White, though,
You think?
because I hate, like, as someone who has rotted in the lottery for years and years and have had
This
hear
guy.
about potential and
This
stuff.
guy.
I hate potential,
Been
but
there,
I could
feel
I,
that.
Same.
I think that Coby White shows flashes of being this amazing player. And then he shows flashes like you don't know what you're doing at all. And I feel like Collin Sexton is kind of like the bro dog, where it's just consistent.
You makes me want to have Bro Dog. Every team should have Bro Dog.
Everyone should have Brogdon. I mean, yeah, I just think this one's kind of weak. I liked it. Like, the thought process, like, when you texted me before I looked at the stats, like, I was like, crap, because Collin Sexton they won for what? 12 days? 3 weeks or something? And then they lost 10 straight until they beat the Hawks tonight. Coby White just reminds me of, like, Clarkson and a Jamal Crawford and, like, Lou Williams. Like, I think that's where he's going. I think that's actually his, like, potential. I don't think he's ever going to be like a starting level point guard or shooting guard. Whereas I think Sexton can be a starting level point guard. Like he's showing it that he can do it. Everything about the Cavs just sucks. Just to be fair to them. I mean, I'd obviously rather have Sexton every day of the week. I watch Coby White and it just makes me
There are games though,
not
like where Coby
suicidal,
White
but like
looks
suicidal adjacent.
like, but I guess I'm talking about like those games though where Coby White looks sick. Cause I was the same way. I didn't look at the stats before I sent it in the group chat. Like in my mind, I think they're very close and stuff. But then looking at the stats, it does make it go way more towards Sexton and stuff. And I guess I was just doing like the eye test because I've watched a bunch of the Bulls, and it's just like so up and down with Coby
Yeah.
White.
For all
That's the
for
thing.
all, for all the people out there watching on YouTube, you guys should see Coby White's neck in his ESPN photo. It's on our screen over here. It's a very long neck. That's it. Just sorry, side.
I just don't know who to compare Coby White to. He's not a small guard. He's
No.
like he's 6'5", 6'6". Um it's really hard for me because like I guess I don't watch honestly a lot of Coby White. Like I really don't. And all I
You
see
don't
is
wake up and bleed
when he
Kobe.
pops when he pops off though, you get those highlight reels of him hitting like 6 or 7 threes. I don't really feel like he's a very good facilitator though. That's not really a narrative you hear about. I think recently the biggest narrative has been let's swap Coby White for Lonzo has been the thing that's been talked about most.
But
Was
I think that only comp is happening because they just want someone to guard next to
but
Levine.
that's what I mean. Like he's not a good fit for
I
the number
actually
one
do like
like
that
next to the
swap.
number one scorer. It kind of makes sense. I guess Coby White clearly isn't good on D, so it's gonna make the Pelicans defense significantly worse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll talk more about Sexton because I've watched way too many Cavs games this year. I hate everything he does, but it all
But you love
works.
the
Like
result.
Yep,
the
he is
result
definitely
is
a no,
too much.
yes player.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's like watching it was like watching Westbrook. Honestly, like when Westbrook drives to the hoop, it's reckless. There's no like goal in mind. It just looks stupid. And then it goes in sometimes. You know, like when it goes in, it's like
30% of the time, but
how the hell did you get that in there?
yeah.
And that's how it feels like Sexton is he just bullies his way in. He flails his body, and then at the very last second, he gets the perfect angle and throws it in. The same way with his jump shot, Sexton's
It's
jump
not
shot looks really gross. Like
it's not pretty.
he kicks his legs out like front. It's like a V thing he ends up doing. It's really weird. It really is kind of like that. Like he kicks it out. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Um, but he's shooting insane splits and he has an insane mentality. It's like everything you want Patrick Beverley to be is Collin Sexton.
Yep.
Could
So I
you
don't know how I could say against him, but I also don't know really what Coby White can develop into. Like is he just a hot hand? Like
Yeah.
I don't think he's much of a facilitator, so
I
he's
I
gonna
just think he's
he's
like Lou. I just see him as a six
but,
man. I
but
see
isn't it
that
weird
like
because
he's
it doesn't
bigger,
feel
but
like I don't know. Like when I think of the Bulls, I think how would you run the offense? Like if you had to go first option, second option, third option, what would you do? And I'm thinking I'd give it to
Levine,
Levine
Markkinen.
one, I'd give Markkinen, and then like what? Then I have to give to Coby White.
Well,
But
yeah,
then
because
my
Otto
but
Porter
right
just
now,
died.
Yeah.
Otto Porter's not a thing, I guess. Like even then, I think it would be a hard decision to say. I think we should give the ball to what's his name, Patrick Williams. I'd rather give it to the Williams kid.
And I love Patrick Williams.
I know. I think that would be a real debate in the Bulls front office. Is like, can we get like
But isn't that
more
why like the
developed
Alonzo
point guard?
for Kobe
You're
White?
right. So can we
Yeah,
get a more developed point guard in there?
Mhm.
And because we don't know, like he doesn't even have a career path. Like I really don't know what Coby White would develop into.
he's dead. I'm gonna tell you, he's gonna end up as like a six man scoring on
Really
some weird
disappointing.
ass teams Mostly,
he could turn
most
into
likely a
George Hill.
Clipper team.
Yeah, Clippers love 6 men.
Could he be like? I don't know if he's good on D. That's the thing. I don't know enough about
He's
that.
not
Like,
gonna do.
because my
Okay.
only thought was like, could he be like? My thought is, you look back at him in 5 years, and he's averaging 14 and 6, and the first thing that comes to mind is like DJ Augustine, older George Hill, like those type of point guards that are like
I'd say
a
more.
little bit oversized.
I'd say
And
the DJ Augustine comp's good. I think
DJ
George Hill's a
Augustine.
little more feisty on the defensive end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
George Hill was a better defender. I don't know what
Yeah.
he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
He's
I
not
didn't watch a
playing. He's not
single
playing.
Thunder game all year.
He doesn't play. He does.
He
He's
refused
hurt. I
to
think.
play. About hurt. I think it's the whole COVID thing.
I
if
think it's
had
the
to
whole COVID
guess.
thing too.
Yeah.
Because he made a whole big thing
So-
of
I
it.
want to be with my family.
I'm gonna ring this back to the Celtics. Were they better off trading for Kyrie or no? Collin Sexton was the pick. Would they be better with Collin Sexton right now
Then Kemba.
than
Because
doing the Kyrie trade, shipping off Isaiah, doing everything?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say, okay, so if you wanted to be really retrospective and be like, well, in the end, would you rather have Kemba or Sexton? You probably want Sexton. But I think the idea of what Ainge did, I think ever since that deal happened, he stopped pulling the trigger on trying to roll the
yeah, he
dice.
did.
And that's the problem where the Celtics are now, is they stopped trying to make Kyrie deals, right? Like after Kyrie, it really went super conservative mode. It really did. Like I guess up until the point where they wanted, their only risky thing was Miles Turner trade. That really wasn't even like, that was just a dumb idea.
That was just
but, like,
stupidity on their part.
They needed to keep rolling the dice. They should have kept Hayward, but they pissed off Hayward. How do you piss off Gordon Hayward? Like
I
have him
think
leave to Charlotte.
I think the Hayward thing was Hayward was sick of, like,
they
he just
diminished
was.
his role.
It was just a bad. It was just a bad fit. Like they got two guys who were better than him, and is maybe not better, but
I think that would be a perfect, like, if you put Hayward back on the Celtics right now, I don't think you see the Celtics being 15 and 16 right now. Like,
no.
you,
I mean,
they
we'll
wouldn't
we'll
have
give them an
lost to
asterisk for their injuries.
So I think that trade is good because you consistently have to make trades like that to be a contending team. But the Kemba signing in the end really does suck.
So, okay, knowing what Kyrie is now, would you still make the trade?
I think,
Knowing Kyrie's, why Kyrie wanted out of Cleveland, like all the weird Kyrie stuff, would you still make that trade? With the 8th pick on the table?
I say no, but at the same time, though, you don't know that until you get Kyrie, and you see that you have to get the best Kyrie is to get a happy Kyrie, because he seems like he's doing really good on Brooklyn, and he seems like he's like really happy and stuff, and it seems like that's what's working the best.
I mean, he just left the team for like what, 3 weeks?
I mean, since he's came back though, I
well,
know
yeah,
that
now
part,
now he's
but,
back.
But I mean, since he's came back.
But I think that's the equivalent. Is like, I think maybe we should, like, back then the Celtics should have looked like. I mean, I think you make the trade. I 100% think you make the trade. The Daryl Morey aspect, you get an all-star, you get top 10 player. Is it not a red flag when you don't like playing with LeBron? And he lets you take over in the end of games?
You hit the most clutch shot of, like, one of the most clutch shots of NBA Finals.
And then you don't talk to your team for a month?
Yeah.
No, it's a big red flag. I think the only thing that sucks and the only real regrettable thing in it is that Kyrie airmailed those last few games of the Bucks series.
Mm-hmm.
Like after he was like, I'm not going to go 9 for 22, and then he went 9 for 22 like 3 times in a row, or the next 2 games. It was
he went like worse. He shot like 35 times.
Hey, he guarded Giannis, okay?
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like that's the only thing that sucks, and I feel like that's rolling the dice with some of these ego guys. I mean, uber ego guy. I don't even think you get like 99% of the ego guys would airmail it like Kyrie did.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
guess
I don't know.
I guess I'm just looking at the fact of like Sexton's nickname is Young Bull.
Love that nickname.
I mean,
Like,
Sexton would be loyal to the Celtics.
that's my
thing.
Till the end.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like I like how I know they made it to the finals. They've been fighting for years. I like what the Heat do. Like how they pick guys out who are like grinders. They have like a weight loss system every single week. I think these NBA teams are getting too soft. And I don't know how I got to this point here, but
I don't either, but I love it.
Kyrie's a
Keep on
bitch.
going.
It just seems like we're getting so soft on these NBA players. And it's like, I kind of go do what you want. Like, I want guys, I think what it made me think of was the Anthony Edwards talk last week. Like, I want guys like Bradley Beal who built a gym in their house. And their trainer is like, that's stupid. Why would you ever do that? And then COVID happens. And Bradley Beal had a gym in his house, worked out all of COVID, and he's now the leading scorer in the NBA. I think just like at the end of the day, if I'm going into an interview and I'm the GM of a team, I'm sitting down with a guy and I'm like, hey, what do you do in your free time? And he's like, yeah, I play 2K and hit on like girls on Twitter. Obviously they wouldn't say that because they'd be idiots. But like, you gotta find that kind of. You gotta find that kind of player. Like, get that guy out of there. I think there's too much of that going on in this league right now. Because it just doesn't seem like a grind. That's it.
I'm like an old man.
I am an old man right now, and it really makes me mad that
Yelling at the sun.
these freaking kids these days. No, the Celtics, they're in a lot of hot talk right now, and it's like, yeah, they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 times?
Yeah, 3 out of 4 years.
3 out of 4 years? And it feels like they have done nothing. I feel like they're like, every time they get there, I'm like, you're 0 for 3. If we want to take it the way LeBron gets taken in the finals, you guys suck. I don't care that you made it there. You guys suck.
So, okay, but in, let's say, the career of Brown and Tatum together, say they're together for their entire careers, which would be cool. And by the time they're 31 and 32, respectively, the Celtics win the NBA Finals. I think
Worth it.
There's no way that looking back, the 3 for 4 years thing would be a detriment. I think it would be a humongous elevation. Like, they'd be like Tatum.
Get the experience.
Yeah, it was like nuts, right? And then you could look back and be like, those guys were so young. They were barely developed. And they beat the Raptors, or they were beating the Pacers to get there. They were beating like quality teams.
I mean,
in the sense of a career, I think it'll be pretty cool. But like in the moment, it doesn't be achieved too much. At the same time, I would die for the Suns to be in the the Western Conference Finals, 3 out of 4.
But the Western Conference Finals seems harder. I mean, it's not a detriment to Tatum and Brown at all. It's more the front office. Like, I don't think Ainge is making the right choices to get players around these guys.
Well, the biggest thing is the Turner thing this offseason. That was like the biggest, what the hell are you doing?
They would be a different team, and it would have affected the entire league. I mean, I guess what he was thinking maybe was like, if he goes to Charlotte, it's not as bad for us. And that's it. Like, if we send him to Indiana... No, if they send him to Indiana, and you're rocking like Brogdon, Hayward, Warren, and Sabonis, I think he might have been scared of that. That's why he was trying to get another piece. Oladipo is still there.
I don't know. I think the regrets of the front office, the only real one, will be not going for Harden, right? Because I feel like I know they got really timid after the Kyrie thing, but they ended up with
the
Horford,
assets.
They had Gordon Hayward, and then they ended up pulling the trigger and getting Kemba. Like, I feel like they did generally their best job in free agency every single year. They really never pulled the trigger in another trade. And I think the Harden thing will really bite them in the ass, because that could have been a real shot for the finals.
Because Brooklyn's going to the finals.
you'd have had to trade Brown, but then the rest of it is like, I don't know how you're so capped out right now. That could be a real detriment to the front office. Is like, I don't know
Well,
how they're so capped the hell
I think
where they can't build a bench. Like
it's
that would my complaint for the Celtics every single year has been they don't have a bench, and I don't know how they're getting where
well.
they are.
So this is the thing: is they signed Tristan Thompson to this contract, and it's like all the secret things is like, oh, they signed him so he's a trade piece, like 10 million. Like no one wants Tristan. Like I don't know why he's this valuable asset.
Right.
It's the problem with the contracts nowadays. Is how the contracts are too much, but everyone else has to be $1 million. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. The top 5 players in the NBA don't want to play the season, but the bottom, 300 need to play.
Let's put food on the table.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about something dear to Lucas's heart. The All-Star selections are in.
I don't know, man. It's like the Damian Lillard thing a couple years ago, like when Damian was snubbed, and it made no freaking sense. I don't think Booker is gonna make a rap album about his snub, but
Oh,
I think the Hornets will probably feel some pain tomorrow. If I had to guess, it
so
would be sick if he was just I think he's gonna go for like 50 tomorrow.
let's drop some
I think
money
that's
on it,
real.
boys. We can drop all the money I lost in the market today on it.
I tried to anticipate what it was gonna be if I put like $100 on it. So I took Embiid, like the player
Under.
prop. I did the 46 or over points was like 1200 plus 1200, and then I took the spread, which was like 4.5. I think the Suns game will probably be more like 6.5. But it ended up being 25-1. And I was just thinking, like, if the Suns are 6.5-point favorites against the Hornets, and it's like Booker getting 50 tomorrow, I'm like, Booker might just get 50 because he might just like, who's gonna stop Booker tomorrow? Like,
So I'm gonna rip
Melo?
off the All-Stars.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis.
No, should have been an All-Star.
Paul George. Yes. Rudy
Yes.
Gobert. Yes. Damian Lillard. Yes. Donovan Mitchell.
You make an argument.
Argumental.
I say yes.
You have to put someone on the Jazz. That's a given.
But they
Jazz,
did
someone
Gobert.
has to
So
represent the Jazz.
Chris Paul.
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one because I think he's the best player on the Suns.
That doesn't make sense.
Zion Williamson. He's the best player at making you guys win. Zion's kind of nutty right now.
It doesn't matter what he is. It doesn't matter because the past what? How long does it have to be? The past 4 or 5 years, the entire argument has been you cannot put up good stats and have your team play poorly and then be selected for the All-Star. That's been the entire fucking argument.
That was Bradley Beal last year. Bradley Beal flipped out.
Beal last year. That was Booker the past 2 seasons. Booker averaged, let's take a really quick gander, even though I don't have to because I have it memorized and tattooed on me. He averaged 27, 7, and 4 the past 2 seasons and was not an All-Star. Well, he was an All-Star, but he was an injury fill-in, which he's going to be an injury fill-in this year for AD because LeBron might just rip off Silver's head if he doesn't do it. But
how does that feel that LeBron is going to get Booker in?
Maybe we'll get some more respect around here. I mean, but that's what it is.
Put some respect
Zion
on my name.
Is now being put on the pedestal that we've talked about of the NBA is worried about what happens when LeBron leaves in like 4 years or something. They don't know when it's going to happen. He could, something terrible, an injury could happen. I totally doubt it because he lives in cryo chambers.
It's the LeBron and Durant thing. It's two best players.
Of those two guys being fragile right now, and they have to say, who are we going to replace him with? Well, we've got Doncic. That's one, right?
Yeah.
Then who's the other guy? Who's like the big bruiser? Who's LeBron? And they're kind of just trying to shove Zion down our throats. But Zion, as efficient as those cute 25 points are, he's just taking like 15 layups and dunks a game. He's not close to rookie LeBron. Like rookie
No.
and those like first 4 years LeBron, he was doing everything. And
So-
Zion is not even remotely playing any D or facilitating. He only scores in the paint. That's it. That's one skill. He has one skill.
So we're gonna bring a segment to this podcast soon called "Shit Reddit Says," and we're just gonna find the greatest Reddit posts. But today they had a Zion versus Cat debate. Who's the better offensive player?
Wait, for real?
Yep.
I am the number one. I would consider myself a cat hater. Just hate the kitty cat.
Even though he's got 2 of them, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not even close. Cat can play
40% 3-point shooter.
25 feet to a foot.
Mm-hmm.
Zion plays from 4 feet to the hoop. That's it.
Yeah,
And he's
no.
amazing at it. But
Apparently, it's not as far off as we think it is for people who just look at stats. It's fine. Let's rip through the East, and then we can just talk about Booker for 25 minutes. Jaylen Brown.
yes.
Yeah, I like it.
Mhm.
James Harden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, I think, but I'll allow it. Zach LaVine. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna answer for you guys. This next guy, I don't think he deserves it one bit. Julius Randle, New
Fuck
York
you.
Knicks. Ugh, God, no. Julius Randle deserves to be an All-Star. I never thought I was ever gonna say that, but it's here.
Hell yeah, he
He's
does.
killing it. I love Julius.
My Lakers are just developing out in the
They
world.
are.
It's so weird. I have so many little players to root for. Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Shut up, Lucas. Jason Tatum.
And
Yeah.
the East is weak, where you have 2 guys on sub 500 teams representing.
Or is it so much parity in the league that it's like everyone's so close?
We want to have this argument now or no?
No.
That's another time, but
That's
you
another
can't
time.
have so many players represent one team. I really think that's a thing.
Nikola
I think it should be-
Vucevic.
I like Vus. If we're playing the records don't matter game, fine. Fuck
Is-
it. Throw Vuk in. He's playing.
Dave.
He's balling out.
Dave, who has made the most field goals in the NBA this season?
I feel like it's gonna be Vucevic because we
It
just
is.
talked about him.
It is. It is Nikola
What a
Vucevic.
hint.
What a hint. I dropped it for you. But continue what you were going to say before about same team players.
Oh no, that was just my thing. Is like, so
Not
I
you.
saw this argument on.
Yeah, not
Oh,
you.
not
I
me.
was gonna say
No, it's
something.
Dave. Gee,
Yeah.
I'm the
read
only
the
one
prompt.
The only one allowed to talk here. Damn it.
I don't think it's that I don't think it's that weird because back in the day it was like the Celtics had 3 players. The Lakers had at least 2 players. Like I feel like that's how it's always kind of been where it's like I think nowadays it should be I think 2 players from like the good teams there should be 2 players. I don't know. And I know like the Celtics are like 500 only and they're technically not a good team, but Tatum and Brown are like the best young duo and one of the best young duos in the NBA, so it makes
Thank you.
sense.
I think it's just hard because then there's so many arguments for
It's a
record.
bonus.
You can't. Yeah. Okay. So that's another good example. Like the Pacers aren't doing terrible. They're above 500, right? I think
Mhm.
still.
They are.
15
They are.
and
A
14
game. Game.
now.
There we go. Should you have to have somebody represent from that team? Like because if it's not going to be, if records don't matter, then why is Donovan Mitchell there? Right?
Yeah.
Or if records do matter, why is the all-star, the replacement spot for AD, why is it not going to be like Mike Conley? They're the number 1 team in the league. Why wouldn't you get the 3rd best guy on that
They
team?
would do by position.
Like the rules aren't set up right, and it really is just a popularity contest when you look at the span of someone's entire career, this can't just be a popularity contest vote. It has to be like attributed to something. You have to
I
be
feel
able
so
to
bad for
back it
Mike
up.
Conley.
I
I want
don't.
him to make it so bad.
He doesn't deserve it though.
I know, but we love Mike Conley.
I love him, but he has to deserve it. I'm sorry, Mike.
I know. No, I know, but it's just I don't know. I have always loved Mike Conley, and I thought this year was the year because the Jazz #1 seed, and I thought maybe they would go and give like the #1
No.
seed with the best record 3 players, and no.
Well, it would be like the Hawks thing. The Hawks
That's
gave
exactly
Got
what I
like
was thinking. Was
4
which is
players.
really annoying. Yeah,
It
see,
was
that's
dumb.
stupid. You have to make
Mhm.
these
You know-
standard guidelines. Either wins matter or wins don't matter is really the #1.
Wins don't matter.
And that might be
I
the
don't
only
think they
thing that-
matter.
I don't think they matter for the
All-Star.
All-Star. All NBA they matter, but
So
I don't think
why
they
it's
matter
not
for the
an initial
All-Star
then?
because I think so. So this is how I
The
think
average
of
is
it.
25 a game.
I think that
it's just average. It's just average shooting. You could
Continue,
get somebody
Dave,
better
sorry.
in there. You get a
That's
better
okay.
guy in there.
I think that All NBA is like that's the record book kind of thing, where it's like you can like if someone's up for the Hall of Fame or whatever, like All NBA you look at and stuff like that. I think All-Star vote like All-Star teams is just the best players. It doesn't matter if they're on winning teams. It doesn't matter if they play defense. And like it's just the best players and it's the most fun because the way I think of All-Star is like it's like the league's way like the league's opportunity to show how fun the league is. So I think you should have the best players and then that's why I think also that so say if Booker didn't make it because they wanted an even amount of front court and back court. That shouldn't matter because if we're going with we want the best players and the most fun players, Booker should make it over AD.
I mean, I think there needs I think there needs to be like some sort of positions in there. Like 6 front court, 4 back court. Did I get that right? I always mix them up.
Front court is centers and power
Yeah,
forwards.
yeah, okay.
Back court is
I never wanted to tell you guys this, but I searched Zach Collins today when I was looking up John Collins stats. But
Damn, stop making this mistake.
I'm not even
It
kidding. I
looks
looked at it and I
totally
was like, dude, this guy
He looks
sucks.
so different.
This guy sucks. And then I looked. I think there has to be some sort of like fluidity to the fact that there's 6 and 4, and then they can add like 1 or 2 depending on the position and injuries. But is it just
I don't
weak?
think I'll ever like it. I'll never
The
like
West
it.
is
I'm
this
not gonna lie to
weaker.
you.
Like the years that Dame was missing it was Curry, Harden, like Westbrook. Who am I missing? Someone else. Clay.
Mhm.
Like
Well,
the
and then, like-
4
and-
best
and then, like-
players and like crazy.
and then like Mike Conley would have like a really really good year and like he wouldn't make it because he had to get over those players even like in the same thing with Dame.
Well,
Yeah.
doesn't that just make like this season a perfect example of how the All-Star voting doesn't work? Like,
Well, the All-Star one does not work at all.
there's
mean-
no way this makes any sense. Like,
Oh.
it really doesn't.
I guess this is the thing. All-Stars just shouldn't, like, career-wise, All-Star just doesn't matter, right?
It shouldn't, but it does.
It shouldn't, but it does.
Like, I just remember the
But
the basketball. Like when Bill
Yeah.
was ranking all those guys, one of the attributes is how many All-Stars, which I guess if you were thinking objectively and you weren't like a casual fan or
You would-
whatnot, like and you wanted to say, how will I gauge an All-Star vote? And it's just
Well-
your popularity in the league. Like that's an extra. How did you affect the NBA? Well, you were this popular. If that's how people want to gauge All-Stars, that's
It's-
fine. But like All-Stars are tied to monetary pay,
Which
it's
it shouldn't
tied
be.
to how
Like,
you're
a lot of the
perceived, it's
shit.
career. It's not like, yeah, it's just not perceived correctly, and the effects of it are much greater than what it should actually be.
Well,
Well,
Gobert just got $1 million bonus because he made the All-Star team.
I mean,
like-
all right, here's the perfect example of why the All-Star sucks. Kobe made it on, like, what, 6 games? He was an All-Star and he couldn't play, obviously, because he was hurt.
Mhm.
And he,
Yeah.
like, I think that's the point. It's like, I got to that point where I go, oh, it doesn't matter. Because average fans don't give a crap. Most people don't watch the All-Star game. I don't think a lot of people do. Like, casual fans don't watch the All-Star game. I think it's a lot of, like,
Honestly, I
diehard.
hate the All-Star game. Like,
I'm
last year was
normally
kinda
working.
cool. Last year might have been the only year I've seen them try. Like,
I was working. I
Last
didn't
year
get to
was
watch
by
the
far
game.
most fun.
and then this year, I don't even know if they want to be like. I don't think they do some sort of protest or anything to like not play
The
the game
mayor
as
of
much as
Atlanta doesn't want them
possible.
there.
I think there's like a scenario in which these guys will be like, LeBron will start the All-Star game, and then like 2 minutes later, he's gonna check out, and
And
he's
that'll be
like,
it.
have everyone else play. I'm not
Mhm.
not gonna get COVID.
Well, and I think
Got stuff
if
to
that
do.
happens, it definitely matters what LeBron does or what the rest of the league does.
See how
Seriously.
Adam Silver tried to spin it to make it like a moral thing, like
Yeah.
to unite America, we need to have an
Mhm.
All-Star game, and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing.
No.
He's already significantly worse than Why
You
can't
can
I
do
remember
it.
the last one? I can't remember.
You can do it. You forget every time.
Turn.
Stern.
Mhm.
Yes. I was gonna call him Stein, but it's not Mark Stein.
Really?
But yeah, so like he's significantly worse, and it just sucks. Like I don't know. He's wishy-washy, hypocritical.
Oh, he's definitely wishy-washy.
I mean,
It doesn't work.
no, it's money. We talked about it before. It's money. Like, I think it's just this new era where we can get away with saying nothing, and it's comes down to what America is. Say nothing, you benefit. It's fine. People forget about it in days. I mean, we all don't value the All-Star game. What was it? 2 years ago, there was 30 All-Stars, or like 38 All-Stars or something stupid.
So many injuries. That's another
38.
thing. How do you just at like you need to have a finite number of all-stars. You can't have the number of all-stars fluctuate. If someone's injured, they just don't you just don't play, like you're down a roster spot, right?
So,
Or
what would you
just
feel about
assign
tiers of
more
All-Stars? Like a leveling All-Star. So starters, reserves, like injuries. So you're like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And these level of players like affects your career, but doesn't
all NBA.
huh?
It's all NBA voting.
Kind of similar to that.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like you're just explaining all NBA.
But no, but it would be like it wouldn't be all NBA. It wouldn't be like, hey, I'm voting for 15 people, get them in. It would just be like, when we're looking at their career, it would be like, I was an all-star starter in 2021, or this guy was
I see what you're saying now.
this guy was a reserve player in 20. It would be like, oh, cool, this guy was one of the best 5 players in the West. Oh, this guy was a backup 7 player. Oh, this guy couldn't even make the backup 7. He had to be a reserve.
I think we've got to figure out a podcast of
how to burn the NBA.
Yeah.
Because like that, I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't know how you do it. Like you'd almost need to do an independent panel. You'd almost have to do it like how they do
The conference and
the lottery. No, the lottery draft. Like you need to hire an independent firm to value players and say we're gonna put them in tiers of how valuable they are independently of coaches, players, the commissioner, the fans. Like somehow you need an independent source to do that, or like
yeah.
a formula. But then there's no formula that's going to be able to gauge the effectiveness of players that isn't completely skewed. Seems like a nightmare, but also anything sounds better than fucking what's happening right now.
I mean, I think that the NBA is hitting a point where they are trying to be too many different things and not settling on one thing. Like, we're trying to be baseball with stats, but we're also trying to be the NFL with our like players, and then like we are something different because our players are like LeBron's more well known than probably any football player in the entire world.
We're gonna hit a real tipping point, because with the old generation of players that were incredibly popular, they're gonna start fading out. Like LeBron, if Durant breaks down, these guys will eventually fade away because they're eventually going to retire. Like the old guard Chris Paul will eventually go away. And I think like the NBA
I
has
see what you're saying.
grown so much to a point where the fan base has expanded and the new fans coming in are really eager to critique what's going on. Where I think that fans that have been around for much longer are more accepting of certain trends and traditions of the NBA. Where like you get these new fans in here, and like I saw it on Reddit the other day too. Like people are really critiquing the way that like had that TNT halftime show is now just a bunch of dudes that don't watch the game, right? Like
Mm.
Shaq didn't
Well,
even
yeah.
know Siakam's first name, right?
Well,
How is that acceptable where your top analysts, the top people analyzing the game, you're putting forefront of all the fans, doesn't even know the dude that won the NBA finals just 2 years ago. Like
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like these are
I
really
mean,
big problems.
they make a good point in bringing these players in, and I think people like, even though Charles makes like crazy, like quote unquote crazy like predictions, he's making a prediction that he believes, and like if you listen to him, he's very well spoken. Shaq doesn't care. Shaq's over here promoting Forest Road, a great SPAC that you should invest in.
This is not financial advice.
Not financial advice. Never invest in anything. But
Never
like
invest.
it's he doesn't it's the same thing with Magic running the Lakers. These guys who are old professionals, how are they so much better at predicting a player than I am? You know what I mean? Like I'll take time and watch a player's tendencies. Like we'll sit there and be like, I can see this guy being good. These guys are just doing other shit all the time and they're like, cool, I'm gonna go on TNT, I'm gonna make like $5 million a year, $10 million a year. And all I have to do is like a couple late nights.
Yep.
50 nights a month. Or not month, a year. 50 nights a year. I'm gonna sit on TV and I can just get to talk. Or like this podcast, I can sit here and I can go upstairs and you guys can talk for 20 minutes. It's
You need me to talk about Booker for 20 minutes? I got you.
they got to get people who care about it. Like football has it perfectly. They have like Romo. Romo talks about the game. He breaks it down.
I never loved a man more to talk about football than Tony Romo.
I
hated this man for most of my life.
He explains it though, like to the average fan. Like get someone in there. Like we have like Kendrick Perkins. I'm sorry. Fuck off, Kendrick Perkins. I'll clip this and I'll send this to you. But you don't say anything meaningful ever. And this is what we have. We have a bunch of people who don't want to say anything. That's it. I mean, we need better telecasts, and I think like Van Gundy does a great job, and he's like, this is annoying. I hate talking through a timeout.
He's also bad though with complaining about refs nonstop.
But they suck. They suck right now.
I agree, but it sucks to listen to that though.
It does, but they suck.
Well, yeah.
It's he wouldn't complain about it if they didn't suck.
That's true.
And I mean, can we be like, we just had a scandal in the last 20 years where refs were rigging basketball games. Can you take it seriously? Can you take this league seriously? I don't think most people do. They take it as like, hey, this league is rigged. And most people think that. Most people think most sports are rigged. And they don't want to watch it.
I don't think that.
No, I think most people don't actually like football views are people who turn football on in the background and they're not watching the game. I have football on all the time and I'm not watching it.
I think more people think that
don't.
basketball is the most rigged out of sports.
Yeah. I mean, not compared to football. Yeah, like I don't think football is rigged compared to basketball.
I think it's just so easy to rig it. And then kind of Mark Cuban the other day didn't to it being rigged, but it certainly alluded to like the referee culture being
Toxic.
super like fraternized. Yeah, whatever. I don't know if it's a real word, but it's a big fraternity of people just hiring relatives and close associates from like your college years or some sort of group year.
Well,
You don't have educated refs.
the refs should not be
that are
anything.
really susceptible of getting probably money thrown their way. I don't
They
know.
shouldn't be associated, like, they should not be, like, connected to the NBA, and they should get paid a high amount of money. And that's how you fix it.
Need more training. I mean, Mark Cuban said there's only 2 people training them every offseason.
That's crazy.
I mean, training and money. That's all these guys, like, it's $1 billion market. I'm sorry, but refs should make, like, $1 million a year. And then if
they're worth it.
Well, no, this is the thing. If you make them good enough and you make it lucrative enough, the idea of losing that job becomes so much harder. So they will, like,
I get it. I think you have to put out the product before you pay for the product.
Yeah.
You can't go Lucid Motors. You got to pay for the product first. All right?
Spackaholics.
Spackaholics.
I mean, it's just, yeah. The league is at a weird point. I mean, I almost want... The problem is it's every league. Every league is having this trouble with reviews and crap like that. Where it's like, yeah, we need the instant replay because it will fix everything. It's like, oh, it's actually making it worse because I'd rather just be upset the next day. Like, no lie. How many soccer bets have I lost because they're like, oh, this guy was off by a toe? Or like, this touchdown was not a touchdown because the guy, like, 3 seconds in, like, fumbled it. When it was like, all right, cool, I call that a touchdown. It's fine. Whatever. We'll move on. Team should be better.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to talk about in the league?
Yeah.
No, all right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the NBA Nightcap. Making sure you're checking out our Nightcap NBA Twitter, NBA Nightcap Instagram, following us on YouTube, NBA Nightcap. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. Have a great night.